Alright, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about some stuff that's been going on with Ember recently. More so today. Essentially what's going on is, if you haven't seen the recent dev short, Pablo kind of made a little bit of a disregarding comment towards Ember. And I guess it sparked a huge conversation on X, which I don't have X. I got this information from other creators that I saw posting about what Pablo posted on X earlier today. And to kind of give you all the long story short of it, is essentially for a while since Uriel was released, people have been begging for Ember to get a rework or to get a retouch. And a lot of people have been saying, hey, you know what? Why don't you bring back World on Fire? And a lot of people, I guess, has gotten to a point where that's all they ever talk about when it comes down to Ember. And today, Pablo has said that he is not going to be reworking or retouching Ember, mainly because he doesn't need it. He had already reworked Ember in a way that is very active, makes you move, makes you think. And he basically told the people, much like what I've been saying for a while with Ember, as it pertains to this conversation, is we don't need World on Fire back for Ember. That promotes a very not a healthy playstyle. I don't want to say toxic because it's not toxic. It's fun. It is very good ability, and a lot of people loved it. I loved it when it was around too, but you need to understand the way people were playing the game back then and why it was ruining the game for a lot of other people, especially new players. Me being one of those new players when it was around. So essentially what you did, for those of you who are new to Warframe, World on Fire, essentially what Ember did was she would smack the ground with her fists, kind of go into like a superhero pose, and wherever enemies were, flame pillars would pop up as if the world was on fire. Literally what was going on. That's literally what was the whole gist of it. There was no line of sight check, and if you modded her for range, a little bit of strength, you could clear out enemies like 1 or 2 tile sets away from where you're at. Just shredding, melting everyone around you. Anyone that survived already was practically dead. So it was a fun ability, but it promoted a really passive playstyle where you just run around and get kills and really just shut off your brain. Pablo has always been against that, Rebecca as well. Not only that, back then, and I'm not sure about now, but back then a lot of people tried to make AFK farms, and Ember was one of those people who they would abuse for those AFK farms, because you'd stand near your defense point and you'd let your fourth ability do all the work, you know? Occasionally moving just to make sure you don't get kicked, but that's literally what happened, and hence we have the Ember we have today. Now, a lot of people have said that managing your second ability is too much. That doesn't make sense. It's very simple to keep track of. If I'm not mistaken, a while ago they did change it to where it doesn't drain as much energy as it used to, because back then, once you hit 90%, it would just completely just drain your energy. You know, I think they changed that recently. And it's not hard to manage that second ability. So, for those of you who aren't aware, Amber's kit is very engaging, and she's always been a glass cannon. That's always been her design. She's always been a glass cannon. She's always been a fire girl. She deals a lot of damage through her abilities, but she's very squishy, especially if you take her into like higher levels, which is why they gave her that second to begin with. Her damage, her second is a damage reduction. Starts off at 50%, caps off at 90. Plus, not only that, her passive allows her to gain 5% ability strength per enemy that is on fire, which, on top of the strength you already give her, is insane. Not only that, the second ability, which you can increase how fast it recharges by activating World on Fire. When you cast your third ability, acts as an armor strip, because that is what fire does now. It not only stuns enemies, it strips their armor for whatever percentage your second is at. So if you have it at 90%, and I might be a little bit off on this, but you can, for the most part, strip 90% of the enemy armor. On top of whatever strength you have. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure on the math there. I'm not going to go super into detail into how that works, but it's a good armor strip. And for me, as you're seeing here, and I want you to know, like, I wanted to just show you all, like, what's up. I did 2 survivals, 2 20-minute survivals. I did one in the Kuva Fortress, which is the one you're seeing now. And on the 10-minute mark, I'm going to cut it off. I did a 20-minute survival on Mott. Kind of just show you how to cycle her abilities, because she doesn't need a rework. And Pablo agrees with that sentiment too. She's good where she's at. Pablo did say that if they're going to do anything, they're going to do something with, I guess, her fire damage or just fire damage in general. But for the most part, they're not looking into touching her, because her kit is really good. It's engaging. It's active. Her second ability and her third reward an active playstyle. And especially if you're surrounded, it's a good. If you're surrounded, it's a good form of crowd control. I'm talking about your third. Her fourth ability deals a lot of damage as it is. People like to spam it a lot. I've seen it a lot in Fisher missions. I've seen it a lot in extermination missions. They just go to Taos and just hit 4, and it's really strong. And people asking for World on Fire are just stuck on what Ember used to be, and I don't think bringing that specific ability back would be healthy for the game. Because what people are asking for is like another complete rework for Ember when she doesn't need it. People who are calling for World on Fire, in my opinion, really are just nostalgia. They just want nostalgia. They want to feel strong. I don't know where people get the idea that she's overshadowed by like Yuri and all that, and Tempo and all that. She's really good. She's really strong. She can hold her own. She's a glass cannon. It's just utilizing her and using her full kit will allow you to get more value off her abilities, you know. Having people go in an uproar over them not getting World on Fire or whatever is not a good thing. Another thing I want to say, because Pablo kind of hinted at this at the end of his posts, is that even if he did rework Ember or rework how Fire works as it pertains to Ember, I imagine he's gonna get death threats. I imagine he's gotten death threats over his comments regarding not touching Ember for like a rework or anything. And to the community, man, I gotta say this: I don't care how much you love Warframe. I don't care how much you love a certain frame, how much you're willing to like die for them. It is just a game. These are people making a game. Threats to developers is never okay, and it is never right. That is the type of toxicity that we fought so hard to get rid of, and we don't need that in our community. If you can't handle what they're saying, then I don't know, man, toughen up, because I would rather the developer tell you straight up, hey, you know what, you're talking about this, we're not going to do this right now, we're not looking at this, this is not even on the radar. I'd rather them be honest and tell us what's up and just cut the argument right there, than to have people complain and nag and moan and go about it the way they've been going about it. Because if you leave those people unchecked, if you leave those same people who are complaining and begging for a rework to like Ember or like a retouch or something, or begging for World on Fire, what's going to end up happening is they're going to end up making it seem like it's a bigger, like if it's a bigger problem than what it really is, because it's not even a problem. Ember doesn't need a rework. Ember is really good. She's fine where she's at. And I'm using a basic build. I'm not even going into like my personal build. This is basic. I'm not running anything crazy. And I'm having a good time. I'm getting through these missions. I haven't died. I'm using my 2 for, like I said, damage reduction. I'm using my third. If I'm ever surrounded, just pop it. And popping your third brings down that little passive on the side, you know. And if you need it to go higher faster because you need help, you just pop your fourth and you're good. And you just cycle. It's cycling your abilities. And if that's not for you, then look for a different Warframe that does whatever you want it to do. because that's the beauty of Warframe. There's a lot of Warframes. We have multiple fire-based Warframes. We have Ember, Temple, Uriel. Do whatever you want to do. Find a frame that's gonna fit your playstyle and accept that Ember isn't it. If where she's at right now bothers you so much, I'm gonna be honest. Accept that she's not the same frame that she used to be. And I don't want to say it's never gonna change, but it'll be a hot minute till something happens with Ember, you know. And I don't want to drag this out too much, but yeah, we need to chill out as it pertains to all these stuff with reworks and begging for reworks, because the community is begging for like reworks for a lot of frames that I don't think need it. I think the only frames, in my opinion, the top 3 frames that need it, I would say Loki, because that dude, freaking, his whole kit is outdated and he needs some love. Who else? Who else is on that? Banshee's getting her rework. She was one of those that I was hoping to, even though I think she's really good. The people who talk about the most are like Limbo and Loki, and Banshee was up there, but Banshee I don't think needed. Banshee's really strong. Limbo's another one of those that I don't think needs a rework. Limbo's really strong. He's really good with crowd control. The only thing that people don't like, that want to see him reworked, is that he interferes a lot with people gameplay. That is a dumb argument. That is a skill issue. You just need to learn how to play around Limbo, and it's super easy. He's really good at crowd control. He provides energy for the whole team. If anything, something could be done about his survivability, but it's not that bad. Like, Limbo's in a really good spot. You just need to remember that if you're in the rift, use your abilities to kill enemies in or out of the rift, and look for the signs that you are in there. You know, I know there's some bad Limbo players that will troll people and banish them, which is why a lot of people hate Limbo. But the good Limbo players know how to manipulate the battlefield in a way to control the area, you know. Stop calling for reworks that aren't needed, you know. And just, if it's a skill issue on your end, just accept it for what it is, you know. And like I said before, threatening developers is never a good thing. We don't want that here. And I'm someone who's been around since before the War Within, maybe 3 weeks before the War Within. What's that, like 2014, 2015, maybe? And I don't want to see that toxicity. That is not right. We love these developers. We care about them. They're doing really good bias for the game. We enjoy the game. Going that far is never okay, especially with these developers. And I'm not saying it to glaze. I'm saying it out of respect for what I've seen and from what the rest of the community has seen from these developers in the past few years. It is not okay. Those of you who are sending death threats over like the whole Ember thing, if you all are doing that, please stop. That is not good. You all need to really like be better, do better, and accept the situation for what it is, you know. There might be a possible buff if Pablo does end up going to the route of working on how heat damage works. I don't know if it's in general or just for Ember, but he was even hesitant about that because there are people who really understand the intricacies of Ember, and they use how her fire procs work or how heat damage works. I don't know exactly what like he was trying to reference, but he says that even if he makes that change, that the people who know that kick already are gonna get mad and they're gonna do the same thing that everyone else is doing and like make a big fuss over something that would inherently be better, you know. So basically, long story short, Ember isn't gonna get reworked or retouched. She's not even on the block to like be looked at right now. My opinion, she's okay. She's in a good spot. She promotes an active playstyle and she rewards you for being active and being on top of your abilities. And all in all, I mean, just don't get out of hand, you know. Sometimes the developers make choices that we don't like, but you know what? They know what's good for the game. They have our best interests at heart, and they know what they want. They know what the identity of Warframe should be and what they want it to be. So If at the end of the day you don't agree with it, it is what it is. It's not their job to cater to everyone and their needs. Because at this point, with how big Warframe is and how people are dedicated to specific Warframes, you can't rework something without pissing off a certain set of group. Earlier, I saw a video or an interview with Tactical Potato and Megan saying that she's worried that this Banshee rework is going to be similar to what the Valkyrie rework was, where people are going to think it's bad at first, people are going to get mad, then they're going to get their hands on it and they're going to be like, oh, it's okay. Mainly because the Warframe community is very passionate about not only their mains, but just how certain things play out and stuff, you know. So in terms of all that, please just do better. If things happen, give it time. Try to adapt to what's going on. If in the long run it's not a good thing, then you can voice your opinion to DE. But there's never a need for threats, especially death threats. And we as a community should be doing better as a whole when it comes to that. All right. I don't want to drag this out too much. This was gonna be a 20-minute video, but I'm gonna cut it off here. If you enjoyed what I gotta say, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? And I'm just gonna be honest. These are the type of videos I'm gonna make when I have to. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be blunt. I'm gonna tell y'all straight what it is. I'm not gonna sugarcoat things, and I'm not gonna hide from telling y'all what you need to hear. Okay. With that being said, like I said, have a good Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your night. I will catch you all Friday with a Battlefield video if you're interested in that. With that being said, like I said, goodbye. Leave a like, comment, consider subscribing if you're interested in more. And if you're down to have a conversation, I'll be in the comment sections replying. Aside from that, I will let you all go. Peace.